Hi, tiger fans. My name's Michael Moss, independent Tasmanian tiger researcher since 1995. Mainland Australia only. The last Tasmanian tiger actually died in Tasmania, down there in 1936. And it's been dead ever, localised extinction down there. Now, up here on the mainland, where the only area I've concentrated on, in 1998 in South Gippsland in the state of Victoria, mainland Australia, I have no doubt I videotaped a Tasmanian tiger. I grew up in a semi-rural area on the outskirts of Melbourne called Cranbourne South, and I used to see regularly foxes in all light conditions, because when I was in my teens I wasn't far from the tip, and just for fun, I wasn't poor or anything, but I used to scavenge around the tip for stamps and watching the old Playboy magazine back then, about 1980. And also blowing up aerosol cans, so it used to be a great time sneaking into that tip after hours. And of course foxes would hang around that tip a lot, and walking back at dusk I used to see them, and also see them scavenging during late afternoon at the tip. And I can tell you what I saw in November 1998 in South Gippsland, and I videotaped it, was no mangy fox. And it was certainly not any sort of fox. And I'm just telling you all this because there's been yet another twist. Just when you thought, the stake's been driven through the heart of this thing and it's gone, well, maybe not. This is big news today. Maybe nothing, or it may be a whole lot of something, folks. This is just the livescience.com website. Tasmanian tigers discovered in indigenous rock art in Australia, suggesting these marsupials lived there much longer than thought. Now, it's been known for decades after decades that there's rock art. That's no secret, but we'll go into why this could mean a lot. I'll just go briefly through the article. Around 14 new rock art, it came out today, around 14 new rock art depictions of thylacines, aka Tasmanian tiger, also known as Tasmanian tiger, have been found in northern Australia. There's a photo, nice colourful photo of one of them there. A newly documented Tasmanian tiger rock art image. So they're still finding rock art from the Aboriginals, Australian Aboriginal community. Researchers use computer software to enhance its features. Okay, so you can see it a bit better there. Okay, so we'll just scroll through this quickly. Archaeologists in Australia have discovered centuries-old indigenous rock art depicting Tasmanian devils and the now extinct, well, question mark on that, Tasmanian tiger, a new study reports. The findings suggest that the Tasmanian tiger may have survived on the Australian mainland until much more recently than previously thought. Bingo. Now they just go into it here a bit more about the art, which we won't go into that. Now, this was found in the Northern Territory. Okay. Now, the local government of Arnhem Land is run by the region's Aboriginal people, and with a population of roughly 16,000, it has a relatively low population density with much of its environment preserved. Now, the Tasmanian tiger is believed to have gone extinct on the Australian mainland around 3,000 years ago, the researchers reported in the study. However, the marsupials survived on the island until 1936. I've already spoken about that. Okay, the Tasmanian devil used to exist on the mainland, obviously, as well. That's why they were drawing it. But that still survives on the island of Tasmania, the devil. And at one time, the devil also lived in Arnhem Land, obviously, because they painted the thing. Okay, well, maybe obviously, but they painted it on a rock art wall there. Okay. Right, so we'll just continue to go down here. Once again, it says the Tasmanian tiger may have survived on the Australian mainland until just under 1,000 years ago, according to the new study published March 30 in the journal Archaeology in Oceania. The newly documented artworks, some of which may be less than 1,000 years old, raise the possibility that these species survive longer in northern regions than previously thought, the team wrote in the summary. Okay, so they basically dated the rock art. One painting of a Tassie devil was found in 2023 on a rock art panel with figures of humans and other animals. The image of the Tassie devil is 1.3 metres long, with a painting of an eel-tailed catfish as well. Okay, and etc, etc. Okay. Now, we won't go into that about the devil. So it's just mentions the devil there a couple of times. Okay. Meanwhile, the Tasmanian tiger drawings show a dog-like animal with stripes, rounded ears and a long muzzle. The longest depiction measures 4.7 feet, 1.4 metres in length. Some of the drawings show the tiger with their stripes, while others do not. This indicates that the ancient artists didn't always bother to draw the stripes, the researchers said in the paper. So there's another one there. I'll try and zoom in on it. Okay, so there you go. It's one of the newly documented depictions of the now extinct thylacine. Well, I can tell you, as I said, 1998 it was still on the mainland, which is, what's that now? 27 years. So anyway, it just says some of the newly documented rock art show Tasmanian tigers drawn with kaolin. They mine that type of pipe clay as well. Get good money for it. It's a white pigment. Okay. The team wrote in the study, and also used red ochre, O-C-H-E-R, to draw the thylacine on the cave walls. Now, this raises the question of whether the people who drew some of these depictions may have lived in more recent times and actually saw a thylacine in northern Australia 1,000 years ago. That's what this is dated. The artist who made the more recent paintings may have seen actual living thylacines, and some of these creatures may have survived longer in Arnhem Land. Study first author Paul Taçon, a professor of anthropology and archaeology and the chair in rock art research at Griffith University in Australia, said in the statement, alternatively, and this is very important, folks, and I'm quoting him here, alternatively, artists may have been inspired by earlier paintings. So while it could mean a lot, it may not mean anything. So they may just like the pictures on the wall and just decided to copy the other tigers from thousands of years ago, of many thousands. But the fact that it's been dated less than 1,000 is obviously, goes without saying, the interest here. Look at what was this one here? This is fantastic. Recently documented rock art of a Tassie devil. The lower image has been enhanced with computer software. So this has been enhanced. So, I mean, they obviously wouldn't be seeing this on the cave or on the wall there, but it's spectacular anyway, isn't it? That's a Tasmanian devil you're looking at there. I think that's a tiger in the background. You can see the stripes there by the look of it. So devil and tiger. So this is all very interesting. Now, another one of my podcasts, last year, I sent an email and I got a reply about whether they are using environmental DNA in the Northern Territory. And you can see that in the podcast. Okay, another one of my podcasts. Okay, you can see the actual reply in writing there. Okay, and it's also on YouTube, I should say. And they got back to me saying, basically they don't, I think they're not using it specifically to look for Tasmanian tiger. They got back to me because I said, I'd let them know that, I was involved, without going into too much detail, with creating a probe, which meant basically anyone can go now and get from a company in Melbourne called EnviroDNA, they can just email them and get a filter, pay for a filter to be sent out, and they can go and take water samples, send the samples back, and EnviroDNA has the Tassie tiger on the checklist, so they can check for the DNA of it. And that's what the probe was created for. And I supplied some Tassie tiger hair back in the year 2020 and sent it to them, paid $3,000 in EnviroDNA, and I managed to extract DNA hair from the museum specimen, the Tassie tiger hair I sent them. That's where that come from. And yeah, they created a probe to test it and to see if this works, and it works. So, well, it worked there. So yeah, so and that basically, to cut a long story short, that meant that people can go out there and you know, as I said, take a water sample, which is a real-time measure rather than a soil sample, because they don't have a, so that could be from, you know, it's undatable at the moment. It could change, of course, with technology. So anyway, yeah, you can see the reply. They're not screening for Tasmanian tiger up there. It looks like, given this, that they should be. Because this is just, this is a major development. Major development. Did they, the Aboriginals, were under 1,000 years ago, with these, you know, drawings on that they did on the walls of these caves and whatever, rocks, were they copying from earlier Aboriginal artists, or were they drawing from what they were seeing at the time of their existence? Now, you'd probably think, you would probably think, you know, that they were just copying what was already there. But the fact that it's been dated under 1,000 years, were they drawing what they were seeing? That's really, nobody can deny that that's what's happened. So this is really interesting, because there's no rock art that's been dated with Tassie tiger on it, younger than, you know, more recent than this. So cultural legacy, just quickly. Prior to this research, there were about 150 verified rock art drawings of Tasmanian tiger on the Australian mainland and 23 known drawings of Tasmanian devils. The difference in the number of rock art depictions of these animals suggest thylacines were more widespread and more culturally important across mainland Australia than Tasmanian devils, the researchers wrote in the study. The team is working with Aboriginal communities to further understand the importance of the Tasmanian tiger and Tasmanian devil had for their ancestors, the importance of it to their ancestors. One of the study's co-authors, Joey Naganjamira, is from an Aboriginal group known as the Dalajma. He said in a video that some of the headdresses on people shown in the rock art near the Tasmanian tigers resemble headdresses that the Jama use in modern day ceremonies. So that's interesting as well. It doesn't really say, you know, as far as what we're looking at. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? So modern day here. So this is interesting. The oral histories of the Aboriginal people say that the Tasmanian tigers were pets in the rainbow serpent and lived in rock pools, the researchers wrote in a statement. This is a scientific paper or whatever. Oh, I already mentioned where it was from. Rainbow spirits are deities associated with creation and rainfall in Aboriginal Australian beliefs. Even today, the Tasmanian tiger remains culturally important for people in Oceania, Taçon said. The thylacine lives on in Western Arnhem Land, not as a ghost from the past, but as a meaningful creature that still has present-day relevance, the researchers wrote in the journal article. So that's that. Owen Jarus, good article there, Owen Jarus, Live Science contributor. Okay, I'm pretty sure he was the one. So, yep, regular contributor to Live Science. So well done. So here's just quickly here, just going through the photos, just videoing them again on the rock in the article. So the question is, were they seeing Tasmanian tigers on the mainland at Arnhem Land 1,000 years, within the last 1,000 years? Or, and they were putting the on the walls of the caves, putting, you know, the local Aboriginal artists or whatever were putting depictions of them on the cave walls? Or did they just see some Tassie tigers on other caves? As you said, you know, they put quite widespread Tassie tiger drawings on caves. Did they just copy off previous, you know, 5,000, 10,000, whatever, previous etchings on the cave walls of Tassie tiger? Were they just copying them, or were they documenting animals that lived less than 1,000 years ago in mainland Australia? Which is really, really interesting here. The newly documented, finally, wrapping up, the newly documented artworks, just going through a little important section again, some of which may be less than 1,000 years old, raise the possibility that these species survive longer in northern regions than previously thought, the team wrote in the statement. May have survived. So it's really interesting here. So that's a major development, folks. Now I can tell you that the Tasmanian paddy melon survived on the mainland to the 1930s in Gippsland, Victoria, remnants. The Tasmanian bettong survived in Western Victoria to the 1920s. So, the 1910s, I should say, and they were a remnant too. Now that's, you know, there's two other Tasmanian species, if you like, that survived on the mainland, remnants. So 1930s, 1910, and finally 1998, where I videoed one. So this could be swinging things around here, folks. So it's a very interesting development, and I'll keep you posted of any other developments. The search goes on for me, by the way, as well.